The House by the Woods, a true story I never wanted to tell again. I was 19 when it happened. More than 10 years have passed, yet I still wake up some nights drenched in sweat when something taps against my window or when the wind sounds like footsteps on the roof. Back then, I was supposed to stay with my aunt for a few weeks. She owned a small, old house on the edge of a tiny village in central Germany, right next to a thick, silent forest. No neighbors in sight, no streetlights, no cell signal, just quiet, the smell of damp moss, and this wall of trees that turned completely black at night. My aunt worked late shifts at the hospital, so I was alone most evenings. And already on the first night, something felt wrong. The mirror. When she left for work, I went to the bathroom downstairs. As soon as I turned on the light, I froze. The mirror was fogged up completely, though I hadn't used a shower or run hot water at all that day. And in the fog were 3 long vertical streaks as if someone had dragged their fingers slowly down the glass. Long fingers. I wiped the mirror clean and tried to forget it. Old house, humidity, whatever. But my hands were shaking even then. The footsteps. On the second night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy, uneven. They came from the front door, then moved down the hall and stopped right in front of my bedroom. I held my breath. The footsteps didn't move for almost a full minute. I counted the seconds in my head. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Finally, the steps continued, but they didn't go toward the kitchen or my aunt's room. They walked toward the basement stairs and descended, 1 step at a time. The basement had no outside entrance. It was locked every night. There was no way anyone could be down there. When the steps reached the bottom, everything went silent. The next morning, the basement door was open. Not cracked, fully open. The old metal lock was hanging loose. I know I locked it. I know I did. The whisper in the trees. A few evenings later, I came home after spending time in the village. It was late, and the path to the house runs right along the forest's edge. As I passed the first line of trees, I heard it. A whisper, barely audible, but close. Come. I stopped walking. I still don't know why. Something about the voice felt wrong, like it was trying to imitate a person but didn't fully understand how. There was no breath behind it, no warmth, just sound. Then, again, closer this time. Come here. I saw you. I ran. Full sprint. I didn't look back. As I slammed the front door behind me, something heavy scraped against the wooden siding of the house outside. Not a small animal, something tall. The scraping was way too high up on the wall. The night, everything broke. 3 nights later, it happened. My aunt was on another night shift. I went to bed early, exhausted. Sometime in the night, I woke because I felt something cold touch my foot. Not the blanket, cold, like a hand. I jerked my legs up and sat upright. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then I saw it. In the far corner of my room where the moonlight didn't reach, something moved. It unfolded. Not stood up, unfolded, like it had been crouched or pressed into the darkness itself. I saw the shape of shoulders first, then a head, too low, too narrow, and then something long and crooked scraping along the floor. I couldn't see its face, only the eyes. Two pale, reflective shapes staring at me from the dark. Not glowing, reflecting, like the eyes of an animal caught in headlights. But they were too high, too still, too human. I couldn't scream. My throat tightened like something was crushing it. The thing took a step toward me, slow, dragging one foot. And then, from downstairs, the front door slammed open. Absolute force, like someone had kicked it. The thing in the corner snapped its head toward the sound. And in that instant, just for a fraction of a second, I saw its outline clearly. Two long arms, too thin body, a neck that bent the wrong way, fingers that nearly touched the floor. It turned back to me and smiled. Not with lips, but with its eyes. A tightening, a narrowing, the way a predator fixes on something it's about to take. Then it vanished. Not ran, not faded. One moment it stood there. The next, the corner was empty. Just like that. I jumped out of bed and ran downstairs. My aunt was standing in the open doorway, pale and shaking. She said she heard someone screaming from inside the house, but the moment she stepped inside, everything went quiet. There were long, vertical scratch marks on the outside of the house, all the way up to the second floor window, exactly where my room was. Aftermath. I left the next morning and never returned. My aunt sold the house a few months later. She never told the buyers anything. But sometimes she calls me late at night, and she always asks the same thing. Did it ever follow you? I always tell her no, even though I still hear slow footsteps in my hallway some nights. And sometimes, when I look in the bathroom mirror in the morning, there are 3 long streaks in the fog. Part 2. After the house. For a while, I managed to pretend nothing followed me. New apartment, new city, people everywhere. Noise, light, life. Things that should drive out whatever lived in that house. But it didn't. It just got smarter. It waited. The first sign. 2 weeks after I moved into my new place, something strange happened. I stepped out of the shower one morning and froze. The mirror was fogged up, normal. But in the center of the fog, someone had drawn a circle. A perfect circle. Not with a finger, with a nail. Thin, sharp, deep grooves in the glass. Inside the circle with 3 vertical lines, just like in my aunt's house. My knees nearly gave out. I left the bathroom immediately. I didn't go back for hours. The neighbor. Next to me lived an old man named Mr. Han. He was quiet, polite, always reading on his balcony. One evening, when I came home late, he stopped me. "Are you all right?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." He shook his head slowly. "You're not sleeping," he said. "You have that look." "What look?" He hesitated, then said, "Like something is watching you." I stared at him, speechless. Then he added, almost whispering, "I've heard it in your apartment." A cold wave ran through me. Heard what? He didn't answer clearly. He just said, "Whatever it is, it stands by your door at night." The knocking. That night, around 3:14 a.m., I woke up. Knocking. Soft, rhythmic tapping on my bedroom door. Not the front door. My bedroom door. 4 taps, then silence. I stared at the door, not breathing. Then, tap, 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 tap. This time slower, almost patient. I wanted to scream at it to stop, but my voice wouldn't come out. I think I lay there, frozen, for nearly half an hour. The knocking stopped only when the sun rose. When I finally got up and opened the door, the hallway was empty. But on the floor in front of the door lay something. A long, thin strip of dark wood. From my aunt's house. The same type of wood from the basement door frame. It had scratch marks on it. Long, vertical ones. The thing in my room. The worst night came 3 days later. I woke up because the air felt wrong. Still, heavy, like the room wasn't a room anymore, but a closed box filled with something alive. Then I heard it, breathing. Not human breathing, too slow, too deep, too wet. And it was coming from under my bed. I didn't move. I didn't reach for the lamp. I didn't even breathe. The breathing shifted, like something was repositioning itself, stretching. Then a whisper crawled up from the darkness. Found you. My blood turned to ice. Something thin and cold closed around my ankle from under the bed. Not grabbing, just resting there, testing, feeling. I lost control and kicked violently, scrambling backward until I fell off the other side of the bed. I hit the floor hard. The hand, or whatever it was, slid back under the bed with a scraping sound. Not fast, calmly, as if returning to its place. I didn't stay to see anything. I grabbed my phone, keys, and ran into the hallway. I waited outside the building until sunrise. Mr. Hahn came out around 7 a.m. and found me sitting on the stairs, shaking. He crouched down in front of me. "You need to leave," he whispered urgently. "Whatever followed you, it can't be here. It doesn't belong here." I stared at him. "Then where does it belong?" He looked toward the woods in the distance and said, "It belongs where it found you." Part 3. Back to the woods. I didn't want to go back. Every instinct in me screamed to stay away from that town, that house, that forest. But something changed after the night I felt its hand on my ankle. It stopped hiding. It got bold. Every night at exactly 3:14 a.m., something scratched along my bedroom walls from the inside. Furniture shifted on its own. Lights flickered violently. And every morning, the same message appeared on the bathroom mirror. Come back. Not written with a finger, carved into the glass, and getting deeper each day. I couldn't live like that anymore. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. The sound of anything tapping made my stomach twist. So I called my aunt. When she picked up, she didn't say hello. She whispered, terrified, "You waited too long." The drive. I left the next day. Mr. Hahn watched from his balcony. When I went to get into my car, he hurried down the stairs and grabbed my arm with a strength I didn't expect. "Listen to me," he said, his voice trembling. "It doesn't want to kill you. Not at first." "What does it want?" He shook his head. "It wants you near. It feeds from that." I pulled my arm back. "I have to try." He didn't stop me. But as I drove away, I saw him crossing himself in the rearview mirror. The village. By the time I reached the small village, the sun was setting. The sky was a deep orange, bleeding into purple, and the forest looked like a wall of shadows. My aunt was waiting outside the house. She looked thinner, pale. Her eyes had deep, sleepless rings around them. She hugged me hard, and for a second I felt almost safe. But then she whispered in my ear, "Whatever you see tonight, don't speak to it." The first hour. We locked all the doors and windows before the sun fully set. My aunt had placed salt lines at every entrance, crucifixes, old iron nails hammered into the window frames. I asked her what any of that would do. She looked at me without smiling. Not enough. The house felt wrong the moment darkness settled. The air felt too still, like the entire building was holding its breath. At 10 p.m., we heard the first sound. A soft knock on the front door. Once, then twice, then again. Slow, rhythmic, like it was knocking in a pattern. My aunt grabbed my wrist. "Don't answer," she whispered, "and don't move." The knocking stopped. For a moment, then it came again, but from the back door. Then the kitchen window, then the basement door, simultaneously. 3 knocks at the same time. Then silence. My aunt started praying under her breath. When the lights went out. Around midnight, the entire house went dark. Not flickering, not fading, just off. It felt like something outside was pressing against the walls. The windows shuddered. The salt lines trembled, like something heavy was stepping over them. Then we heard it. Breathing. Not outside. Inside the house. Slow. Deep. Like something enormous was filling the space behind us. My aunt squeezed my hand so hard I thought she'd break it. "Don't turn around," she whispered. But the breathing got closer, and closer, and closer. I could feel it on my neck, cold, damp, rotten. My skin crawled. My eyes watered. I was shaking uncontrollably. Something leaned close to my ear. It changed. It was taller than before, its head nearly scraping the ceiling. Its limbs were impossibly long, joints bending the wrong way. Its skin was stretched and thin, like someone had pulled it too tight over the bones. But the worst part were the eyes. They weren't reflecting anymore. They were glowing, faintly, like dying embers, like it was fully awake. When I stepped back, it followed the movement exactly, like a grotesque mirror. Slow, precise. Then it extended one arm. The arm bent at 3 places as it reached toward me. Its fingers clicked softly, almost curious. I couldn't move. My aunt screamed, "Run!" I did. I didn't look back. I ran through the hallway, reached the front door, and it was wide open. And outside, the forest was wide, pitch black, silent, waiting. I hesitated. Just a second. That was enough. Behind me, I heard the thing crawl through the hallway, not walking, not stepping, crawling. Fast. Too fast. I bolted out the door and into the open air. The cold hit me like a slap. I turned back toward the house, and the door slammed shut behind me with a force that shook the walls. Then, everything went silent. My aunt was inside. With it. Part 4. The woods will take you. The silence after the door slammed was so absolute, it felt unnatural, like the world itself was holding its breath. My aunt was inside, with that thing. For a few seconds, I stood frozen on the porch, staring at the door, waiting for any sound, a scream, a crash, anything. Nothing. The house, the forest, the entire village felt dead. Then the lights inside flickered once, a weak, sickly yellow glow, and the forest behind me exhaled a wave of cold air, almost like it was opening. The pull of the woods. I took a step toward the door. Something tugged at the back of my shirt, softly at first, then harder. I spun around, my heart hammering, but no one was there, just the woods. Dark, still, watching. The tree line looked different than before, denser, like the shadows had grown thicker, deeper. Shapes moved between the branches too tall to be animals, too smooth to be wind. Then I heard it. A voice. My aunt's voice. "Come here." It was coming from the forest, not the house. I stepped backwards until my back hit the door. "No," I whispered. "No, you're inside. I heard you scream." Her voice came again, closer this time. "Please, help me. I'm cold." I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. "That's not you." The forest whispered back, "Come." A dozen voices at once, some too deep, some too high, some broken, some familiar. And then one voice rose above the others. Mine. "Come here." I felt something inside me crack. The woods had learned my voice. Inside the house, I tried the front door. Locked. I ran to the back. Locked. Every window was dark, reflections too black to be natural. I pressed my ear to the glass. Silence. Then, a whisper, right on the other side. "Behind you." I spun so fast I fell onto the ground. Nothing. Just the forest creeping closer. I swear the tree line had moved. The branches were now reaching over the garden fence like long, crooked fingers. I looked back at the house. 2 long scratches appeared on the inside of the window I just touched. Slow. Vertical. Like someone was dragging nails across the glass. I backed away again. The forest rustled softly, not like leaves, but like breathing. The decision. The house was sealed. The woods were waiting. The creature had cornered me without ever touching me. In the end, the choice wasn't mine. The forest made it for me. A single, narrow path opened in the tree line. I hadn't seen it before. It was too straight, too perfectly carved, as if the trees had bent themselves aside to make room. And in the center of that path, almost invisible in the dark, a shape was standing there. Not human, but standing, tall, thin, head tilted too far to the side, arms dangling like wet ropes. Its eyes glowed faintly, not bright enough to see the face, just enough to know it was looking at me. Waiting, inviting. Behind me, the house groaned, wood warping, walls straining. Something inside was moving from room to room, searching. I realized something horrifying. It wasn't trying to kill my aunt. It was using her as bait to bring me back, to bring me to the forest. I wiped my tears, stepped backward once, twice, and my foot touched the edge of the path. The creature in the woods didn't move, but the glow in its eyes brightened, just slightly, like a smile. Behind me, the front door of the house unlocked itself with a loud, echoing click. Too late. The forest whispered, "You're ours now," and the trees closed behind me.